Hi, everyone. It is June 11, 2024. I hope you're all doing well. If not well, okay. Oh boy. Okay. Um, Let me say hello to those who are here. And then I have kind of like an announcement, I guess. But hello, Sandra and Andrew Cruz and Analog Synth Player, Justin Wynn, and T. Lamb. Hello, thank you. Sheepdog Patriots, Silent Walk, Kim Blanchard, Joni, Donna Davidson, hi. Rage Against the Machine and Christy, Hazelwood and Dawn E. and Julie and Alicia DeMoss, hello. Super Painting 62, hi, 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 everybody. I think I got everybody who's here. Oh no, Cecilia Almaratti, hi. Well, Cecilia, I'm not scared. I have nothing prepared. I can't. I don't have the resources. Everything that has happened to my life, I have nothing prepared. But I'm not scared. Whatever happens is going to happen. And I understand why an awful lot of people might be scared, can't prepare for all of the atrocities heading our way. Well, an awful lot of people have met those atrocities, and yeah, it's unfortunately, we the American people, on the whole, not everyone, really can't get it together to face the truth of what is happening to us. Hey, Denim Blue, nice to see you. So that leaves an awful lot of people outside of the matrix, understanding what's going on, witnessing what's going on, watching what is going on, trying to inform others. They don't want to hear it. They just want to be comfortable in their little bubble. Oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist. And then they throw an awful lot of insults your way. The hostility in which they protect their willful ignorance is really quite astounding, to say the least. In the long run, or even in the short run, even those who are prepared, they might be prepared for a little while. That's it. Game's over. Show's over. So, when you look at everything that is really taking place, when you have the best big picture of what is taking place today, you understand that an awful lot of the people who have had the resources to prepare up the wazoo, food and water, essentially, gardens and ammo and what you put the ammo in. I get scared now on YouTube to say anything, but for a short period of time, what we are facing is so unprecedented that I think a lot of people who are prepared are going to be very surprised that all their prep work may have been for naught. Unless you have a power outage for a week. Oh, good, you're prepared. Unless you have a power outage even for a couple of weeks, which people are experiencing. Okay, good, you're prepared. But for what people consider the shit hits the fan, no. That means, wow, everybody knows something happened, but the shit has been hitting the fan for millions and millions and millions. So, all World War III, economic collapse, martial law, confiscation, boom. So, that probably did nothing to alleviate your fear, Cecilia, and might have evoked some fear in others. That was not my attention. But my attention is, I do have the best big picture that I have been able to grasp on all of the agendas, on the very many scenarios that could erupt any time. But the other thing is that there's an awful lot of people who I've been noticing in the comments on Twitter or YouTube or whatever, they don't want to survive what's coming up. I have no desire, none. But when you face the evil circumstances that you have to live, that's when you get to know, holy shit. And it gets very, very hard. So, let me just say, I heard it through the grapevine that I record phone calls, that I share emails of people, that I'm this, that, or whatever. That does not help our community, and that's an abject lie. So, I just wanted to put that out. I don't like lies. I sure as hell don't like them when I am the subject matter of the lie. But that's how we roll, right? That's the fabulous cyber world that we have. Whole lot of people who want to create drama, then people read that drama, and then they believe it. I will say this. Don't believe anything. Do not believe anything that you see on the internet. Let it go in one eye and out the other eye. You hear things, let it go in one ear and out the other ear. But if people are disparaging other people when they really have no reason to, that's when you have to start questioning what is going on. It's sad, and I am very actually depressed over our fabulous community where I can't trust anyone. I see what's going on. I have experienced way too much drama with subscribers that now I'm afraid to talk to anyone new for the first time. That's how bad it has gotten. So that leaves me far more isolated. People have to understand the ripple effects of their behavior out in the world. If you don't care about those ripple effects, something's very wrong, and you need to face yourself in the mirror. Because everybody should. Right? Right. So, on that note, let's get back to it. Nikki Loves Rocks, D. Moore, Dude, Barb in Ohio, Christy, did I say hello? Seek and ye shall find, and Silent Walk. And Julio. So do the Jesuits, Julio. So do the evangelical Christians. It's not just the Zionists. But you don't hear much about the evangelical Christians who have a lobby that's more powerful than AIPAC, Why is that? Isn't that interesting? I find it interesting. So, let's look at radar. It's a somewhat quiet night or evening, or, well, it's 5:13 p.m. here in Arizona. You got the supercells here in Texas. You got a lot of rain here and a whole powerful pulse off the coast of Florida, off the coast of the Keys, affecting these storms. And yeah, you got a little itty bitty supercell here in New Mexico. You got the supercells here in Colorado. Colorado seems to be another state where they do repeat damage. But look at the plasma line pulling down these supercells. The shot of the extremely low frequency. So, be safe, be ready, and let's get to it. Storm damage reported in Castle Rock neighborhood, in Colorado.
Homeowners in Castle Rock watching the radar closely tonight after a storm brought damaging.
Sorry, I have to watch as best I can the chat. And Donna, thank you for saying that. Oh, your voice brings comfort to me. Wow, thank you. I don't get very many compliments like that, but I appreciate it. Anyway, Colorado.
Rain and hail to the area last night. Just look at some of the videos some of the viewers sent us in. That rain came down so fast it looked like a raging river on some streets.
Yeah, devastating. There are. Samantha Spitz has been speaking with people living in the area about the damage and concerns as more storms roll in. Samantha.
Yeah, good evening, guys. Well, we're in Castle Rock, just one of the areas impacted by storms last night. You can see water left over here at this construction site. Really just goes to show you how much precipitation this storm brought and the damage that it left behind.
And we looked out the window, and all of a sudden you just see this. It felt like I was in Lord of the Rings or something whenever the water's coming over. But it felt like all the water was just coming over there, and within a few seconds, it just came up here, and what you see down here on the ground, it was very terrifying. Yeah, I had no idea what to do. Couldn't do anything but just watch and wait for it to be over.
Jesse Helms and his family watched in terror as water rushed around their house, flooding their backyard and dumping into the streets. Today, their backyard barely recognizable.
We lost all of our landscaping in the back, so all of our rock that was back here is now in the front yard. I'm sure that tree right there is probably gonna die. It looks like it was completely uprooted. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of work.
Luckily, Jesse says the water didn't make it into the house.
It looks like it created like a little barrier to keep it from going in, thankfully.
And just a few miles away,
the rain just started coming down in sheets and in droves, and then it turned into hail.
Robert Moore says the water had nowhere to go as mud and debris from the hillside behind his house piled up in the drainage canal.
It came down so hard and so fast it overwhelmed the drainage that was in there.
It's an issue Moore says he hopes the city and developer can work together to fix. Back in Jesse's neighborhood, a hefty cleanup job awaits.
We've got the rain coming again tonight and this afternoon, so we're just going to wait and see what happens then and then fix it later this week, I guess.
Just weather, right? Just a rainstorm or rain. It seems to bring a lot of damage these days. Bad storms here in Florida right now. Where are you in Florida, Julio? And I also just want to point out Kim Blanchard's comment. I don't let what others say about another develop my thoughts about anyone. I form my own opinions based upon what I see and hear for myself, and that usually tells the content of someone's character. That's why real life is so important. You get to see how people operate literally in your daily, goings about. In the cyber world, there can be so many deceptive people, and you have no idea until that deception comes for you. If it comes for somebody else, then that leaves the whole community like guessing, wonder who's telling the truth. There is one thing I will say about me. When you have nothing, you've lost everything, and you've been living that existence for a long time, your integrity becomes everything. If you think that I am going to destroy my integrity for anyone in this fabulous cyber world of ours, you're nuts. Now, I shouldn't say you're nuts. I understand how difficult it is to trust anyone, but I'm not going there because no one is worth it. As far as I'm concerned, not one person is worth me taking a hit to my integrity. I'm not doing it. Okay, so said it. And here, flash flooding in Florida, Holiday, Florida. It's Live Storms Media, so I can't play it. But yeah, rain. It's raining, flash flooding, and it's coming. And yeah, you got cars. Just what happened here? Stuck in a ditch. Oh boy, and the roads flooded. Roads are closed. Our weather just seems to be creating, if it's not damage, then it is such great inconvenience. Must be climate change. Massive Bremerton area beach fire destroys 2 homes and a garage in hours-long battle. Why are we seeing so many homes, so many apartment complexes? Oh, forget about the factories, forget about the farm industries, forget about, the all of our food supply going up in smoke, but we've got an awful lot of individuals. You got one, no, we're not going to have just one house fire. We're going to have 2. We're going to have 3. Whole apartment complexes. And wait until I get to what is happening in Youngstown, Ohio.
Luckily, no one was hurt, but I can tell you when we got to the scene of all that destruction, it was devastating. There were piles of wood and debris where someone's home once stood. One firefighter tells us it is still too soon to know what sparked this fire, but we are learning more about the large effort to contain it and for the cleanup still ahead. Only a chimney remains standing on this private lot after an hours-long firefight at the Erlins Beach Loop.
Before we were able to get water on the fire, it spread into some other structures.
The fire marshal is investigating what led a massive fire to tear through the Kitsap County home and quickly spread to another home and garage.
It looked like it was a one-story house that was fully engulfed, and I could see it collapse.
KOMO viewer Greg Jacobs captured the billowing smoke and flames from 3 miles away across the Dyes Inlet.
And the house to the west of it looked like the location where the fire truck staged, and they were shooting water from there.
The multiple agencies that responded had a lot working against them, in addition to heavy winds.
There were quite a few challenges. First, the water supply issue that we had because the hydrants were so far away. We had power lines down in front of the residences. We had
when these fire officials start talking about how it's such difficulty now getting to homes to put out the fire hydrant is far away. You hear that houses that are built in rural areas, they were, too hard to access for the fire departments to put. I feel like that is part of the narrative to get people to move. To get people, unfortunately, having the tyrannical government officials come down on them and say, you can't live here anymore because it's a danger. Move everybody about. City to evacuate apartments next to realty buildings. So it was last week that I posted on an explosion in a bank, but the apartments up above, right? So all of the residents in that apartment can't get back into their apartments. How about the apartment building next to them?
Well, where will I move? I mean, where will I go if I have to move? Are they going to provide us with housing?
A lot of questions tonight from residents living inside International Towers in downtown Youngstown after the city announced the building will be evacuated following last month's explosion. Good evening. I'm Lindsay Watson.
And I'm John Rutter in for Stan Boney tonight. In the weeks after the Realty building explosion, structural engineers have determined that the International Towers are no longer safe to be in. All residents must be evacuated.
First News reporter Abigail Cloutier joins us live in the studio tonight with those details. Abby.
Good evening. Fire Chief Barry Finley has notified International Towers building management that an evacuation process must begin, but many International Towers residents didn't know anything about it when I headed down.
No sound on the video or no sound from me? Because all I said was that there was no explosion in the building next to the Realty building. None. But it has been determined it's unsafe and all of those residents have to move and move fast. And you know how hard it is now to move. Well, moving, divorce, death, moving. The three biggest stressors. Moving today, you have an awful lot of elderly people, people in wheelchairs, people disabled, having to move. And where are they going to find an apartment? This is so unbelievably outrageous.
There this afternoon, they were shocked, worried, and confused. It's our top story tonight at 10.
I'm very disappointed that no one has said anything to us. People here are going to be shocked because they don't know what to do next.
People living in International Towers shocked and frustrated at the news that the Realty building is structurally unsound and that they can no longer stay in their homes.
No one has said a word.
First Ward Councilman Julius Oliver telling me the evacuation process will start in the next 1 to 3 days. Many residents say they're worried about the Realty building's proximity to their home.
I'm very frustrated. You can see, the tears in my eyes are hurt. I knew something should be done.
I knew that because it's all bad. I knew that. That's what I was leaving myself. It's not fit to live in.
Many of the building's residents have oxygen tanks, are in wheelchairs, or have disabilities. Those living in the building tell me it will be no small feat to move everyone.
Where will they find additional housing? Because a lot of people have been living here even longer than I have, and people in wheelchairs and, people that have real disabilities.
Residents saying, too, they're frustrated the media was informed about the evacuation before they heard from building management. A media release from Mayor Brown reads in part, "Unfortunately, this is not the result we anticipated. However, the public safety and well-being of our residents is our top priority. We are actively working with the appropriate agencies and organizations to find solutions for the residents as quickly as possible." Many I spoke with have spent decades living in the building and ultimately are just worried about where they'll go.
I might can stay with someone, but I just came from that kind of situation in my life. So I don't know what they're going to do.
I have reached out to both Mayor Brown and Fire Chief Barry Finley about what steps will be taken next. The mayor's office has advised there will be a press conference tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. to provide.
So that looks like a very sturdy building, and there's no temporary way to shore it up to provide safety for the tenants. No, we're going to kick them out. You got to find another place to live. And we're doing it because we're concerned about your well-being. Well, Miami apartment fire forces emergency evacuations. My God. Okay. Where are these people going to go?
Apartment fire in Miami that forced dozens of residents to flee for their lives. Officials say a suspect who shot a person at the scene is now in custody and suspected of starting the fire. Victor Akendo is on the scene in Miami. Good morning, Victor.
Good morning, Rebecca. There is the building behind us. It has been nearly 24 hours and firefighters are still on the scene. The suspect is 73 years old, now charged with arson and attempted murder. And this morning, there is still no motive.
This raging inferno ripping through this apartment building near downtown Miami Monday.
We got flames and smoke showing from the third floor window.
Firefighters racing to the scene, going floor by floor, finding mostly elderly residents, rescuing some right from their balconies, helping them down ladders.
That's all I could think of the entire time was trying to get out. Me, my mom, my stepdad, just the four of us and my cat just trying to get out.
Plumes of smoke across the Miami skyline. This was an historic level 3 fire. This morning, Miami police confirming to our affiliate WPLG that Juan Francisco Figueroa.
I have to stop there because I did see when I posted this on my channel, but I'm not, this is really the only place I'm talking to my subscribers. But Scottish Rite, what is this, like a Freemason building right next, well, close to right next door? Interesting.
That Juan Francisco Figueroa is the suspect in custody who they believe started the fire and allegedly shot a building employee. First responders finding that gunshot victim upon arrival, rushing him to the hospital in critical condition. WPLG identifying the victim as 30-year-old Feder Biot. More than 100 firefighters battling the blaze for nearly 8 hours. Thankfully, everyone inside that building, all 43 people, now accounted for. One resident transported to the hospital for smoke inhalation. 3 firefighters required treatment too. They have since been discharged.
I want to thank the brave men and...
Okay, so there are an awful lot of people who are being displaced, not due to flooding, just, well, that's the fire, okay, displaced, the explosion in the realty building, that's displaced. But there's a lot of especially in Florida. The engineers have assessed that it's not structurally sound. Get out. There's a lot of that going on. Grasshoppers damaging property in valleys, properties, and the foothills. And Action News Now, I want to say this is Arizona, but I don't know. News Now. No. Chico, Redding, California. So, grasshoppers. Got an awful lot of forces out there that are creating an awful lot of damage and headaches for people.
On their garage is just another example of all the damage the grasshoppers have caused. Just standing right here, I can count at least a couple dozen that are still eating their way through this plant. And until this issue subsides, the Huffmans say they're going to wait out before going back to work on their garden.
Invasion continues across our community. Many of you have reached out to us about the issue since we brought this story to you last week.
And Action News Now reporter Chloe Curtis spoke with one couple who says grasshoppers have destroyed their garden.
My wife literally worked every day. She loves working out in this every day for, without exaggeration, 5 to 6 hours for the last 5 years.
And Maurice Huffman says it took just 1 week for grasshoppers to wreak havoc. That rustling here as I walk by, not the vegetation I'm walking on. It is thousands of grasshoppers here on the property, and the Huffmans say they're causing a lot of damage.
They've eaten everything, everything else green, everything that we've planted.
From fruits, vegetables, vegetation, lavender, rosemary. Huffman says nothing has been off limits for the grasshoppers. Are those mesh covers?
Mesh covers, they don't work.
Yep, the grasshoppers even eating through the mesh covers the Huffmans put there to protect their garden. Since moving to Corning after the campfire, Huffman says landscaping on the property became a labor of love for him and his wife. And it wasn't just for looks. So they've eaten through a majority of your food supply?
Yeah, our food supply. We eat mostly what we grow here.
For now, it's back to the grocery store as the couple tries to tackle the issue. They're using blowers to keep them out of the house and even had someone come out to spray the property. But Huffman says whatever the grasshoppers secrete afterward is leaving a mess of its own. He says chickens, toads, and lizards are making a small dent, though.
They're so fat right now, we don't have to feed them at all. So they love them.
Grasshoppers are one of the most difficult insects to manage in the garden. The statewide integrated pest management program says, quote, during years when huge numbers of grasshoppers are migrating, there is almost nothing you can do to protect plants once the invasion has reached the garden. The greenery on their garage is just another example of all the damage the grasshoppers have caused. Just standing right here, I can count at least a couple dozen that are still eating their way through this plant. And until this issue subsides, the Huffmans say they're going to wait out before going back to work on their garden.
That's a good idea. Oh, wow. And how about this woman in Florida? I've lived in Florida my whole life and never seen anything like this. They are all bugs.
I've never seen anything like this in my entire life, and I lived in Florida my entire life. Those are all bugs. I thought the restaurant was smoking. Those are all bugs. You can even see them flying, like, dude, you can't even tell on the video how many there are. There are millions and billions and trillions of bugs here right now. All of those lines, bugs. Oh my gosh. They're getting closer to me so you can start seeing them more. Oh, I cannot believe this. I've literally never seen anything like this in my entire life. How is this Ohio? It looks like it's pouring rain. It's literally not even raining. These are bugs. I cannot even fathom how many bugs are here. This is absolutely absurd. Absurd. Oh my gosh.
Now, I don't know when this took place because people just post things on Twitter, so I don't know if it was recent, but did you see all of the lithium in the sky as well? Yeah. Bugs and lithium. That'll be good for your health. Migrants continue to flood through border following Biden's executive order every day.
Papá, mamá, hijo.
Oh, come on down. Here's the processing center. Just keep walking and we'll let you in. Yeah. What a shame. Continues. So, Americans, you've been lied to again. Oh, I don't care. Oh, really? Okay.
Ponerse el cinturón de seguridad.
This, I think, this is one of the borders in how it's Tacoma.
Yeah,
Border Patrol now is Uber. Okay. Well, so I want to play this, and I want to get your response, because I don't have the same reaction to what Oscar is going to show you. And not that I'm with what you will see, the post, somebody writing something about our fabulous country. But let me play it and let's see.
And I have been doing a lot of reading today and been busy right here doing some other stuff. But just came to my attention, my manager sent me these couple of screenshots of a guy that has, it is more than violence. It is provoking something that is horrible. And I don't know until when. This is how bad it is right now in the United States of America, that these kind of individuals, they are being heard by other individuals, by the youth, creating the hate and the hatred towards the United States of America. This is how the youth has been so contaminated by leftist, progressive, mercenary, activist liberals that they are profoundly, supporting the language barrier or the fence that is your conspiracy theories. You're creating hysteria. You're a fearmonger. You are a white supremacist, a white imperialist. You're xenophobic, transphobic, homophobic, pronophobic, fatphobic, racist, fascist, narcissist, bigot, Zionist. And from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Those kind of individuals are these. And, and the sad thing about it.
What kind of individuals? From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Zionists. To conflate everyone into this mix, I think it's just wrong. It's flat out wrong. But an awful lot of people, and I do not get it, an awful lot of people who are protesting against what Israel is doing, they're called leftist lunatics. All right, there's a big difference between the leftist lunatics that we have seen that buy into agendas and go out and march and do that, all of that kind of stuff. There's a very big difference when you are protesting and wanting desperately to have stopped the killing of children. I don't understand how people can just put that in and you're going to claim that these people are crazy. It boggles my mind.
I'm about to show you a couple of pictures that have been viral right now all over the place of an individual that his name is Bishal P. Singh. I think that he's from India, and he's an India American or something like that, or he's from India. And, it's really bad. This, in another country, this kind of situation, he will be arrested immediately, without no doubt. What he's basically saying, and his post, is for the United States to rot in hell, really, to be destroyed, to be completely eradicated from the planet. And I don't know until when, it's because the United States is run by a leftist progressive government that is completely upside down. Even the leftists, they don't agree with Joe Biden. And it is a disaster. It is just a complete disaster. This is what they have provoked, and this is what they have created. They have created this, nobody else. So I'm gonna put this post right now on the live feed so you can see and understand, and then I will put the picture of who this gentleman individual is. And it is so unbelievable. The my God, it's so horrible. It's horrible. Look at this post. So,
all right, so I'm just going to read it. So, Vishal Singh encourages violence towards America to serve his genocidal ideology. Well, we don't know what his ideology is, but from the post and what he writes, which is, if we must destroy the United States and compromise our own safety and privilege in order to starve Israel of their funding and end this genocide, that is what we will do. F this country, F your comfort. His genocidal ideology, or is he very angry at the genocidal ideology of the Zionists, the evangelical Christians, the U.S. government, the Israeli government, IDF, U.S. military, killing an awful lot of innocent people, women, and children? Okay, well, I understand. Whether he is an American citizen or not, people are not happy with America anymore. Now, would I love to see, some possible solution without violence? Yeah. But that's what the United States and Israel, that's all they know is violence. Violence, violence, violence. They don't listen to anybody. So I understand people who have the thinking that the only possible way is to commit violence against those who are committing violence. That's not my way, but I understand that thinking. I don't think it's so horrible. I do understand it. So, yeah, on the whole, those protests are peaceful. And the infiltrators create an awful lot of the chaos that you see. That's absolutely true. So I'm not with Oscar on this. And, well, look, whether they want violence or not, it doesn't matter. When evil is spreading because nobody is doing anything, let me take that back. On the whole, we got an awful lot of people not doing anything. You're going to get whatever you're going to get. You're going to get an awful lot of chaos. When the violence is coming at you, are you going to say, well, I'm not going to create any kind of violence because that's what they want? You're still being controlled by them. Now, I'm not suggesting anybody go out and commit violence. That's not what I mean. But I've seen an awful lot. Oh, you can't be upset. You can't show that you're upset with anything. That's what they want. Then you're still being controlled by them. You respond authentically to the reality that you're witnessing. And F them in terms of what they want. I don't care what they want. But because an awful lot of people aren't doing anything, then this is what we have. We just have a whole lot of chaos, a whole lot of violent chaos, and a whole lot of very angry people. Hey, that's what manifests. And here is a veteran who, You know, when I hear people talk about this, because it's so rare that an American actually knows what our country was supposed to be, I have to play it.
When people tell me that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, I look at them as if I'm supposed to be offended. No duh, Sherlock. America is not a democracy. No matter how many times you hear the news say it, no matter how many times you hear Democrats say it, no matter how many times...
Oh, it's not just the Democrats. Don't go there. It's also the Republicans. And I noticed that there was a very big push, and I didn't know what it was about, but in the late 80s, I began to hear almost every politician refer to our country as a democracy. And I was like, but we're not a democracy. Why do they keep saying that? And they have, and more people say it, that's what we are, a democracy. No, we are not a democracy. Democracy is the road to tyranny. The constitutional republic that has died a whole long time ago. But if Americans actually knew what kind of government they have, would they have allowed it to descend into this tyrannical democracy that we have? Probably.
Your misinformed family members tell you that democracy is what makes up America. It is not. We are a constitutional republic. Let me break down the difference, okay? In a democracy, the will of the majority would override or take away the rights and privileges of the minority. In a constitutional republic, such as America, we elect representatives who go ahead of us and enact laws to protect the rights of individuals against the will of the so-called majority. This is why America has been set apart from any other country. Do you want to know what involves a democracy? Communism. See, this is a word that's tossed around because these people want to get rid of capitalism and go into socialism and ultimately become communism. But I got good news for you. People are not fleeing in droves from constitutional republic countries. They are fleeing from democratic countries that are now communist. Cuba, North Korea, Vietnam, name it. Talk to the people that are coming from these countries. Democracy isn't something you want. You think you want it. Imagine if 70% of America was Christian and we all voted according to our religion and we were a democracy. Imagine how that would put you. The only reason why you're able to believe the way you believe, speak the way you're able to speak, and do the things you're able to do is because we are a republic and not a democracy.
But we're not a republic. So a whole lot of people can't do what we used to be able to do because our democracy, quote unquote, is tyranny. First it was a budding tyranny, then it was a growing tyranny, and now it's just tyranny cementing itself. The constitutional republic? Yeah. No other country had that. That's what made, not Americans, but this country exceptional. If we actually fought to save it, well, yeah. It's a beautiful world we live in, so this is our commercial break. I saw this last night after the live, and I was like, I have to show it. I may have to show it twice, maybe even 3 times, because it's so wonderful.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine, you make me happy. You're all my sunshine, but only sunshine. You make me happy, it's not that way. You never know that I'm not gonna you. That's not me. That's you are my sunshine, my only. Sunshine, you make me happy, live faster. You're all my sunshine, but only sunshine. You make me happy, it's not that way. You never know that I'm not gonna you. That's not me. That's you are my sunshine.
If I had a start, I really have to fix the camera. I've got to fix the lighting. I've got to do something. But I honestly, I don't care all that much. But if I had a start to my lives, that would be it. That is incredible. Yeah. Yeah. Kid needs a record label. One more time.
Sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy, live faster. You're all my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy, it's not that way. You never know that I'm not gonna you. That's not me. That's you are my sunshine.
Oh my God. Wow, can you imagine having that, just walking around your house, running around your house? Wow. Adorable. Adorable. Thank you. So, unfortunately, we are back to our fabulous adults. EMTs resign. Well, they should have been fired. Resign following disturbing doorbell camera video that has circulated, prompts investigation. The hell is wrong? What the hell is wrong with people? You know, a whole lot of people get into these caring professions, right? Not because they care, just because they want the money. We've got an awful lot of, I'm sorry, sick and twisted people who just are really, EMTs.
Video of EMTs in the town of Catskill yanking on a disabled man's arms and legs as he lay on their ambulance floor. In the video, you can hear the EMTs laughing at the man, yelling at him to get up. That patient was eventually transported to the hospital and was told the doctors discovered he had internal bleeding in his right leg. His family and friends tonight are calling for justice.
I literally just watched you put yourself on the ground on purpose. Like, I'm not playing the game with you.
Friday night, shortly after 7 p.m., Thomas Wygant called 911 to go to the hospital for high blood sugar.
My feeling too high. I couldn't walk. I was giddy, and I told her I can't walk. He made me walk.
Town of Catskill EMTs arrived.
I can't carry him down the stairs, especially not having shortness of breath.
They walked him over to the ambulance and told him to get in.
Let's go.
As Tom is climbing into the ambulance to get on the gurney, he falls.
You need to get up.
You gotta pull yourself up. You shouldn't have gone down there.
I can't get you up now.
That's
you can do it. There's no reason why you went down like that.
That was a dumb.
Tom now laying on the floor. The female EMT attempts to pull him up by his arm. Moments later, the male starts to pull him out of the rig by his leg.
When you pull me by my feet, it hurt me.
Catskill town officials say they have seen the videos and are investigating what happened. Meanwhile, the EMTs involved are currently not on the schedule to continue working. Tom's friends and family are now calling for justice, saying the way he was treated was wrong.
I could only watch the first one where he fell off the bed. I did not watch the rest of them because I was so upset.
I'm sorry, man. I'm not trying to laugh at you, but I feel like I'm dealing with a teenager right now. Like, I feel like I'm dealing with my 7-year-old that won't follow directions.
What kind of EMTs do they have on there?
Is there any reason as to why you would think that the EMTs would treat you or your husband this way?
That I do not know. I do not know. I'll never trust the Catskill Ambulance Squad again.
Bada bing. Trust. We extend a surface level of trust to everyone, and then it's up to the individual to raise that trust based on their behavior, what they say, how they live. And it's hard, takes a while, but it's in a flash. Trust can be destroyed. Then try to regain it. Well, the individual who destroyed it, the individual who betrayed it, needs to do some work. And if they don't do that work, then it doesn't get repaired. And look at this. People are being treated so horribly now that I really do think that people just feel like that they can, and they can get away with it. And that's why we are seeing an awful lot of people being treated with no respect whatsoever, ignored, no respect. It's happening across the board, and that kind of behavior, that's going to get worse.
This is Oak Lawn neighborhood. One man says he's been living in hazardous conditions for more than 2 months now. The situation at his apartment progressively getting worse. Our Aaron Jones looking into the problem tonight, also sharing what you can do if something like this ever happens to you.
The worst experience of my rental life. Yes, it's been really, really bad.
Rene Hernandez says more than 2 months ago, he sent a maintenance request to staff at 4123 Cedar Springs documenting a water leak.
Like 2 days afterwards, maintenance man said he fixed it. He brought me a fan.
But still, Hernandez says the problem continued.
Receptionist lady had closed the work order, and I said, oh, no, ma'am, you need to redo it because that is not fixed. Maybe 2 weeks after that, nobody had come into my apartment.
He says he sent this email April 22nd, which states the problem is getting worse. Since then, he's discovered black mold and an infestation of worms and flies, showing us these pictures because of concerns overtaking us inside. He wonders if it's affecting his health. He shows us this picture where he's developed a rash on his body.
I cannot say it's from this, but it's never happened to me before.
Last week, Hernandez decided to try and sleep at the complex's gym, but says officers arrived to escort him out.
And they insisted on coming to my apartment because they did not believe me and my situation. I opened the door, they gasped at the smell. I got a lease violation on my door Friday night, and it basically says that the property has been damaged by my negligence because I did not report the leak.
We reached out to the staff at 4123 Cedar Springs and were told to contact the property manager, Foresight Asset Management, which we did. We're still waiting for a response.
Still waiting for a response. Pit bulls seen attacking San Francisco man who scales fence to survive. I will tell you, the pit bull is an incredible dog. What the two-legged has done to the pit bull.
I just felt something doing like this. When I look back, I saw two pit bulls.
A short walk home from the gym near Alameda and Vermont Streets took a terrifying, nearly fatal turn for Pablo Rocha. Surveillance video shows Rocha taken down by two dogs. He tries to get up, but is attacked again and again. Another camera captures his escape. Bloodied and battered, he climbs a nearby fence before the dogs eventually run off. It happened just after 6 p.m. on May 25th.
Yeah. So this is my blood. This is my blood.
He underwent surgery and received 30 stitches.
In that moment, I thought I would die. The only thing I was like, I don't believe I'm gonna die like this. I just thought I would die. You know, I saw my friend was trying to help me, but the dogs were just ignoring him. This gate saved my life.
His friend Eduardo Pachu tried to fight off the dogs with a water bottle and ran to get help. Meanwhile, Rasha was stuck in an enclosed space, pleading for help from passing drivers.
The cars just stopped and left.
Rasha said police later told him the majority of the 911 calls received at the time described him as a burglary suspect.
The bites of the dog hurt a lot. But to know the reason they didn't stop to help me, that was very painful.
SFPD said it arrested two suspects, 39-year-old Hillary Flynn and 31-year-old Jesse Alley of San Francisco. The woman is facing charges including failure to control a dangerous dog, resisting arrest, and also had outstanding warrants.
It's been the better part of 7 years that we've been fighting to get our neighborhood cleaned up. And it gets cleaned up, it comes back. It gets cleaned up, it comes back. We call 311 constantly.
Rasha's husband, Robert Fountain, has lived in the neighborhood for 15 years. In that time, he's witnessed.
Well, that's what a lot of people say about German Shepherds or Dobermans, Marsha. Pit bulls are bred to babysit children. So, I'd say the two-legged are dangerous because they have a certain instinct in them to go for the jugular. Admission of failure. Democratic cities stop reporting crime stats to FBI. That'll bring the crime down. Just don't report the crime. That'll bring it down. And everybody will want to move to democratic cities, right? Americans, a whole lot of Americans, they fully get what's happening here. I will never stop wondering how it is that we're just sitting back watching our own demise. Florida man shot, killed friend over apparent argument over a pool pump.
The man accused of shooting and killing his good friend being arrested. The Osceola sheriff says it happened during a fight over a pool pump. Thanks for joining us. I'm Manny Martinez.
Good evening. I'm Luann Sorrell. Joshua Miller is now in jail being held on no bond. The sheriff says he was beating his friend with a gun when it went off. Fox 35's Hannah McKenzie spoke to the sheriff today, who says it was all caught on camera.
It's in that surveillance video that Sheriff Marcos Lopez says you can hear the suspect, Joshua Miller, yelling at the victim, repeatedly asking, "Where is my pool pump?" The sheriff says Miller then began hitting the victim in the head with the barrel of a gun. It was after one of those strikes that the gun went off and Miller ran away. Hours later, he was tracked down at a different home in St. Cloud. Now, we don't have actual video of the incident, but we did just get this new video showing the 29-year-old being escorted from the Osceola County Sheriff's Office and loaded into the back of a deputy's car. This shooting happened on Saturday outside a home on Bronco Drive. The victim, ID'd as Joseph Back, was pronounced dead at an area hospital. We're told by those close to Back that he and Miller were good friends. I asked the sheriff if the shooting appeared to have been accidental. Here's what he said.
That's not for me to decide. You know, there's a lot of different possibilities that could have happened during this incident. But, you know, the moral of the story is don't pistol whip somebody. This isn't a mobster movie or Grand Theft Auto or a video game. This is real life. And if you don't know how to properly handle a firearm, you shouldn't be holding one, especially beating someone with it, because in this case, now he's facing murder.
According to...
People are pulling out guns, man, like it's nothing. As far as the PayPal information, that is underneath every live once it posts. The link to the PayPal is right in the description box. It's right in the description box, Mama Rages. And for any moderator that wants to share it, they just have to copy and paste it. Police raid elderly councilwoman's home, family traumatized. Okay, I'm telling you, we really have to learn how to treat one another better.
You understand that Officer Cody, who has filed this out, that we have a whole bunch of damaging information about him that we have not published. He's aware of this. This is retaliation by Chief Cody.
In 2023, a quiet Kansas town made international headlines when police raided the offices of the local newspaper and the homes of the paper's owners.
The Marion police chief stepped down from his position after launching a raid on a newspaper and 2 homes.
Gideon Cody was only on the job for 2 months at the time of the raid, taking over as chief of Marion in the spring.
You're going to give me a stroke.
Man,
You can't take that.
Yes, ma'am. The 98-year-old co-owner of the paper, Joanne Meyer, died of a stress-induced heart attack the day after her home was raided. But what many people don't know is that the police also went after 81-year-old Ruth Herbel, councilwoman and vice mayor. Ruth's home was raided, traumatizing her husband, who suffers from dementia.
Her phone is right there on her laptop. Okay. And
that's the only 2 computers.
That's it. Well, there's 2 computers over there, but she doesn't use those other ones and hasn't used them in a long time.
That's where we're going to find everything.
Yep.
The police chief seized her cell phone and computer, and when they couldn't find any evidence of a crime, they drew up an arrest warrant anyway.
I came to Marion back in 1961, and so I've been here like 63 years.
She spent decades in government service, but rather than opt for a quiet retirement, Ruth ran for city council when she grew frustrated with officials who wouldn't be honest with residents.
There was several reasons why I decided to run for office. Most of all, I love Marion. Marion's always been a beautiful city, and the appearance of Marion was going downhill fast. And so that was one reason I had decided. And the other was the corruption and the dishonesty out of City Hall. I was tired of it.
Ruth's crusading spirit and insistence on following the rules led to conflict with the mayor, David Mayfield, who tried for years to push Ruth off the council.
He tried to remove me from council at least 4 times that I know of, and probably more that I don't know about.
Ruth saw on Facebook that a local restaurant owner close to the mayor had a DUI that could have prevented her from getting a liquor license. In a contentious city council meeting, Ruth and the newspaper were accused of improperly accessing the restaurant owner's driving record. The mayor and his recently appointed police chief, Gideon Cody, saw a chance to punish their political opponents. The police chief drew up warrants that hid the fact that he knew that neither the newspaper nor Ruth had accessed any databases improperly. They shot for a judge who would sign that warrant and found one nearly an hour outside the county. The judge they found was so helpful that she didn't even make the chief swear he was telling the truth. The chief and his deputies were soon pounding on doors and collecting cell phones and computers.
There was an officer at the door. I was indisposed at the time, and my husband answered the door, and he was terrified. He had never had an officer at our door before. Well, I finally caught up with him, and he was completely traumatized. They took my phone and my computer, and I told him, I said, I have to have that phone because I said, my husband has a medical condition, a heart condition, and if I need an ambulance, I have no way of calling an ambulance. I have no house phone. I said, well, can I at least get the phone numbers off my phone? And he said no.
Ruth, who had never had any run-ins with the law, sat at her kitchen table with the chief accusing her of serious crimes.
Cody read me the Miranda rights, accused me of identity theft and misuse of computer. And all I did was send a screenshot that I had got over Facebook.
It didn't dawn on Ruth until later that she could be arrested.
After the raid happened, I found out through disclosure that Mayor Mayfield said the only way we can get Ruth off of the council is to get her convicted of a criminal offense.
But it was the chief and the mayor who soon found themselves in hot water as national media shined a spotlight on the raids.
Small-town newspaper raided by police.
Police raiding a small-town Kansas newspaper.
They're facing scrutiny after raiding the newsroom of the town's local newspaper.
Even though the warrants were withdrawn, it was weeks before Ruth's phone was returned. She and her husband are still recovering. The First Amendment protects political dissent, and what happened to Ruth was in retaliation for her opposition to the mayor. That shouldn't be allowed in a free country. So Ruth is filing a lawsuit with the Institute.
I will recommend the Institute for Justice the videos that they have on their channel are very informative in terms of how low we have descended in our country. 81 years old. They go after the first woman who's, what did they say, 90 something? They raided her house, and the day after she dies of a heart attack. This is not right. We ain't right. We just ain't right. We got to get right. Bank of America is closing accounts nationwide. Now this is on 8850 Club Credits channel. What is this? And he included this excerpt of a news show, but then I did a little bit of research. There have been a lot of banks, the big ones, closing people's accounts, but not letting them have access to their money. I think they're getting Americans used to having accounts closed, or, well, there's some glitch and you can't have access to any of your money. Sorry, ATMs aren't working, sorry. For when the big one comes, and then suddenly, oh, you know what? We just need to go digital. That'll solve everything. Won't solve anything for the people, but it will solve everything for the globalist, disgusting psychopaths.
Panic would you be if you had money in the bank and could not get to it, all because the bank said your account was closed? That was one woman's ordeal, and it went on for months. Now, only on to our efforts to help this mom and grade school teacher.
For 17 years, Christina Blanton was a loyal Bank of America customer without a problem. Has ever had anything like this happen before?
No.
Until April, when the South Suburban mother and grade school teacher suddenly could not get into her account.
I went to log on to my online banking and it kept saying account locked. And so I thought I entered my password incorrectly.
No success online, so she called Bank of America's 800 number repeatedly, including this one call that lasted nearly 2 hours. For months, she got the runaround.
I was like transferred to multiple people and then finally spoke to them. And the young lady said, we decided to close your account.
With no adequate explanation, she says. A business decision, the bank told her. What's worse, Blanton could not get her money. And what was your reaction to this?
I was upset. I was frustrated right before me getting ready to have the surgery. And to not be able to access your money, emotionally, I wanted to cry, but I didn't. I just been dealing with it, and this has been since April.
The surgery she mentioned, it was for thyroid cancer. A difficult time all around.
I wasn't getting anywhere.
So Christina Blanton reached out to us for help. We contacted Bank of America. The response from a bank spokeswoman was vague. We can't share information about an individual account for reasons of privacy, but have resolved the issue directly with our customer. Okay, so we're happy to say the news is better.
A lot better.
What?
So a little bit of exposure, the bank turns around and allows her to have access to her money. Well, she's pulled her money out of Bank of America and moved it to another bank. But is there any place that any of you can think of that actually treats their customers well? Remember, you know, that old adage that the customers were always right? Well, they weren't always right, but it seems as if nobody feels like they have to treat anybody as they should be treating, forget about with respect, as they should. You don't close accounts. You don't stop a customer from having access to their money. Wow, man, so many people are facing really hard times. Attack on pregnant woman at pizza place. This is in Atlanta, Georgia. And awareness of your surroundings, awareness of your own responses, awareness of your own affect out in the world, because if you're not aware of that, you could find yourself in a whole lot of trouble. But here,
you can kind of see the glass door here shattered. The general manager here tells me the same man that surveillance video caught lunging at that woman on Friday was also responsible for this property damage.
But something's got to be done for like the people in the neighborhoods and the businesses around here, because it's ridiculous.
Caitlin Markley, the general manager at Fellini's Pizza on Pond, says she was stunned watching this video surveillance cameras captured of a man trying to punch an expectant mother in their parking lot Friday. But she tells Fox 5 he's a familiar face, one of several homeless living in the area.
And lately his thing is hitting women, defecating in the parking lot, hurting our property, open drug use. He's always been an issue, but over the years it's gotten worse.
Atlanta police say that violence was on full display Friday. Shortly after the attack, an employee called 911 and asked the man to leave. That's when he became irate and started banging on the glass door of the business.
This is actually the second time he's broken the door in the same exact spot.
Atlanta police identified the man as Willie Grace and say he has a long history of arrests around the city.
But fortunately, the blue cities no longer report crime to the FBI. So, hey, everybody, Atlanta, it's all safe. Don't worry. By the way, dude, I know, trust and believe that. It's all sir this and sir that. What? Yes, they all do when you have 100,000 to put in. No, they don't. They don't. In fact, I know a subscriber who suddenly he went to his bank account and couldn't get access to it. And that went on for, I'd say, about 2 weeks. And he has money. So it's the very top, which are just a few people. 100,000 means squat to people today. And here, Mississippi mother, her son severely beat her. What's going on?
We are learning more tonight about the officer-involved shooting Saturday in Alcorn County, south of Corinth. A 39-year-old man who was beating his mother with a metal flashlight was first tased and then shot once by an Alcorn County deputy when the taser didn't stop him. Hello, I'm Greg Hurst. Stephanie is off tonight.
Oh, you don't need to hear any more of this. But people they're out of their flippin' minds. And this woman who was found hanging dead at a dock, what's going on? Police suspect foul play after mom of 4 found hanging off a dock, and this is in Texas.
The victim has been identified as 30-year-old Giselle Salazar Tapia. Police tell me the way her body was found positioned, hanging from the end of that rope, leads them to believe she died elsewhere, that the hanging was staged. Giselle Salazar Tapia's jewelry still decorates her boyfriend, James Hartz's boat.
All these necklaces, this one is hers, this is all her stuff that I've given.
Their shared home since March. This is the last known place she was seen alive.
It's been the most horrific experience of my life.
Neighbors found the mother of 4's body hanged from a dock at the end of their marina late last month.
she was partially submerged in the water.
League City Lieutenant Eric Cox now telling ABC 13 detectives believe foul play was involved, that her death was not a suicide.
As it stands, when she was found, her arm was suspended up in the air, and there was nothing holding it there. So we believe that she probably passed away with her arm extended up above her head like that, and then rigor mortis had set in prior to her being placed there.
Okay, very good. Very good. You hang yourself off a dock, you're probably not going to have an arm extended. Good. Very good. Working brain there. Rudy Giuliani has been booked into an Arizona jail on felony charges. Maricopa County. What are we seeing? What are we seeing?
Arizona's fake elector scheme making news with former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani in Arizona.
You did not have to be, you know, an attorney to understand evidence and all of this kind of stuff to know. And I've heard from an awful lot of Arizonans that Maricopa County is known. It's known as a thoroughly corrupt county. And considering everything that was going on with the 2020 election, we sure do know that it just wasn't very fair. Okay, let's just leave it at that. But the reporters are so biased, especially in Arizona. Oof. Arizona, blue state.
Today to face multiple charges. The charges stem from his efforts to overturn Donald Trump's 2020 loss to Joe Biden. Just moments after he was booked, he spoke with 12 News outside the courthouse.
Giuliani told 12 News journalist Bram Resnick that he is very proud of his efforts to try to overturn Arizona's election results in 2020 and believes that the case against him will be thrown out.
You might be wondering what the man once known as America's mayor was doing in Phoenix on a 109-degree day. Former Donald Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani was paying the price for playing hard to get when state agents tried to serve him with papers telling him he was indicted in Arizona. A court ordered Rudy Giuliani to travel to Phoenix by June 20th for fingerprinting and a mugshot after his indictment in the fake electors case. Giuliani also had to post a $10,000 cash bond that ensures he'll appear at future court dates. The former federal prosecutor has entered a not guilty plea to all charges. As he left the Maricopa County Courthouse, Giuliani denied he did anything wrong and claimed the case against him would be thrown out. Do you have any regrets about what you did in Arizona after the election?
Oh my goodness, no.
Why not?
I'm very, very proud of it.
Proud of it? Proud of trying to overturn the vote? That's your words.
Oh, but are you on one side? Just one side? That's a hell of a way to ask.
Well, that's the allegation against you, isn't it, sir? That's what the indictment says.
No, but I'm presumed innocent, aren't I?
You are.
But you don't seem to be presuming me innocent. You seem to me to have a prejudiced viewpoint.
Side, yeah.
You seem to have a prejudiced viewpoint.
Well,
I mean, that's a heck of a prejudiced viewpoint for
okay, you said
an American.
Your answer was heck no. Why not?
Because there was a substantial amount of vote fraud that went on here. That was covered up. Probably.
And they're still coming up with evidence of voter registration using the same security number for like 10,000 registrations. The same security number used for, you can't quote me on the specifics, but there's so much evidence. All right, so that was 2020. What do you think 2024 is going to look like? Biden is losing his base. A whole lot of Hispanics, a whole lot of women, a whole lot of Black Americans are leaving that blue team, going over to the red team. All of you know I ain't on any team. And Rudy and Trump, look, it's a mess. It's a swamp. And they're all swimming together. Okay. But when we see, and we're still seeing it, an awful lot of people go into the Trump rallies, Biden having one that I know of where he couldn't fill up a high school gymnasium. It's a replay of 2020. That's why, even just as I'm talking about it, I'm getting a headache. Because it's so, like, I hate repeats. But it's a repeat. Only this time it's going to be far worse. And people are just going to be losing it. And Hunter Biden found guilty. Oh my God, that means that there's not a two-tiered justice system. You know, the red team, you get jailed. You're found guilty. Not on the blue team. Oh, of course, it had to play out this way, because anybody who has half a brain cell working could understand that Hunter was absolutely guilty on these gun charges. Okay. Will he be jailed? No.
Hunter Biden has been convicted in his federal gun trial related to his purchase of a handgun back in 2018 while addicted to drugs. And thank you for joining us this midday. We're live on ABC 30, Hulu Live, and wherever you stream. I'm Jason Oliveira.
And I'm Graciela Moreno. The son of a sitting president has never before faced a criminal trial. ABC's Rena Roy explains what comes next as Hunter Biden waits to learn his punishment, which could include prison time.
Hunter Biden found guilty of all charges in the felony gun case against him in Delaware, walking out of the courtroom in Wilmington just moments after hearing the verdict, hand in hand with his wife and the First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden. Hunter Biden releasing a written statement saying, "I am more grateful today for the love and support I experienced last week from Melissa, my family, my friends, and my community than I am disappointed by the outcome. Recovery is possible by the grace of God, and I'm blessed to experience that gift one day at a time." The jury of 6 men and 6 women coming to the decision guilty on all 3 charges after just over 3 hours of deliberations over 2 days. Prosecutors say he knew he was using drugs and knew he was addicted to drugs, but checked no on this federal background check form while buying a revolver in October of 2018. The form asking whether he was an unlawful user of or addicted to drugs. But Hunter's defense attorney, Abby Lowell, telling jurors the prosecution failed to prove Hunter was actively using at the time of the purchase, saying there was no actual witness to Hunter using drugs on the crucial days. During the trial, jurors hearing testimony from several women in his life, including his ex-wife and ex-girlfriend, the owner and employees of the gun shop where he bought his firearm, and a number of expert witnesses. His 30-year-old daughter, Naomi, also taking the stand, but Hunter Biden did not testify in his own defense. Defense lawyer Abby Lowell arguing Hunter Biden was using alcohol at that time, but not drugs, and that the form was confusing. They say he had just gotten out of a 12-day rehab program before purchasing the gun. President Biden releasing a written statement saying, in part, "As I also said last week, I will accept the outcome of this case and continue to respect the judicial process as Hunter considers an appeal. Jill and I will always be there for Hunter and the rest of the family with our love and support. Nothing will ever change that."
The judge says the sentencing date will be scheduled in the next 120 days. He could face up to 25 years in prison, but legal experts believe he won't serve any time as a first-time and nonviolent offender. Rena Roy, ABC News, Wilmington, Delaware.
Guilty on all counts. Yeah, he's making a flippin' fortune. A flippin' fortune because he's got so much support, Trump, on and just so many people just love him. So very upset about what's happening in Israel and Gaza. And I now am feeling so like I don't want to see comments that I know will upset me. So I stay clear of certain subjects. And I don't like that because I feel like I'm betraying myself. So that's going to change tomorrow. Because I've been flattened today with news from that grapevine, and I just don't want to be upset anymore. So let's just go to a lot of these videos just don't play. This dog had surgery. The cat's just hanging out with him, being a support for him. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Huh. So, I'm just gonna look at this. So, I do have, which I completely forgot about, the new California homeless, from American dream to poverty and tyranny. Isn't it amazing? I grew up knowing, I went out to California. I knew so many people who went, everybody wanted to be in California, California dream, and okay, it's gone. That didn't take, in one's lifetime, to see a state that was so attractive to most of the population, and now the once richest state in economic opportunity and liberties has become the poorest state in the nation and one of the least free states in America. Tyranny competing with New York. Yeah, opposite coasts, but wow, New York and California. Who's going to be the most tyrannical? Illnesses prompt FDA to probe microdosing of chocolate bars with mushrooms? A chocolate bar product infused with mushrooms. People are falling ill in Arizona, Indiana, Nevada, Pennsylvania. People who became ill after eating Diamond Shrums brand microdosing chocolate bars. We have this going now that, I mean, they're just legalizing everything. I guess, okay. They have had severe symptoms, including seizures, central nervous system depression, loss of consciousness, confusion, sleepiness, agitation, abnormal heart rates, hyper and hypotension, nausea, vomiting. Wow. Well, what do I know? What do I know? The National Institute of Health scrambled after Zero Hedge report on Fauci Beagle experiments, scrubbed the database, then fed the Washington Post, which is a joke, disinformation. So they scrubbed their website of the evidence that Fauci was conducting. Talk about the atrocities on these animals. Beagles. Look at these. I mean, it's, yeah. No, I don't see a good people. And lied about the funding for the experiment, of course. Here, you know, on their website, which is now gone, dogs will be exposed to sandfly bites throughout the sandfly season to ensure transmission. The dogs will be transported back to Pasteur Institute to be monitored for the development of disease. The dogs will be put in cages for 2 hours being bitten by sandflies. Just their heads. Sometimes you just get really tired of the two-legged, right? All right, so this is good news, but unfortunately, now our winds, too little too late, and yeah, when you measure it up against all of the evil and all of these agendas at rapid speed, okay, well, I guess good.
We're going to start off, we've got a lot to cover today, so we're going to start off with the huge win. On Friday, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals not only reinstated a COVID vaccine mandate case that was thrown out by a lower district court, but they also called into question whether or not the COVID vaccines were actual vaccines, calling all COVID vaccine mandates into question and possibly even opening up legal liability. This is the win I have been waiting for. I have been complaining and complaining that the wins that have been happening throughout the courts have not been on the merits of they should not be forcing us into an actual into this vaccine. They shouldn't be forcing us. We should be allowed to do whatever we want with our bodies. They instead had been winning over the last couple of years on technicality type stuff. It was stuff like, oh, you know what, when you mandated this, it was arbitrary and capricious because you didn't make athletes do it, in the NBA or something. I'm just using it. I don't know if that was, I'm just giving kind of these arbitrary, dumb examples where they said, well, you didn't make everybody do it, and so therefore it couldn't really be, or you were the wrong department. A different department apparently is supposed to be in charge of mandating these vaccines. So it wasn't ever on the, can they actually force us into a vaccine mandate against our will? Can they force these so-called, they didn't stop the spread. Can they still force that on us? So this was the first time an actual court case went through where the justices dealt with the merits of the actual substance that they mandated people have injected into their bodies. So let's go ahead and go over the huge...
I will post the link. You can listen to the full video by clicking on the link. You know, there are so many avenues that they have created to get that product into you, not just with those vaccines. So, for a court to actually say that they're not vaccines, that is big. But what we need the Americans to care. We need the Americans to care. Without that, we get nowhere. This link, it was sent to me by a subscriber. But look, we all know that nothing is going to get any better. They're going to keep coming out with these products, FDA approved, and they're not good for us. We all know that. We all know that we're heading in a very wrong direction. Okay, but we need the American people to care and to act. Unfortunately, we don't have that type of people, the collective. So, we need to change and help one another. We need to change and stop the drama bullshit. We need to think about our own integrity. Integrity doesn't come from lying, gossiping, disparaging people, ripping apart communities. Integrity comes from living honestly and speaking honestly. Now, it's simple. And at the same time, a whole lot of people don't even have the awareness to know if they're doing that. That's where it gets hard, because you do need to do that work of self-reflection. You need to become someone who's aware of your own self. You need to be someone who's on that road to knowing who you are, what you stand for, what are your principles, and facing the mirror and asking yourself, am I just talking this or am I living it? We don't have those people. That sucks. That means we're all being pulled down to a low level. The energy in our country is piss poor. But the only thing that you do have control over is how you operate in your own communities. You know, what are you doing in your own community to help people out, to try to create some community? That's all. That was all our responsibility. Okay, social engineers. And I have heard excuse after excuse after, well, it was the social engineers that did that. I don't care. When you know that, that's when you need to be looking at yourself and to study yourself. Do that self-examination to find out how you have been social engineered so that you can do something differently and, yeah, not be engineered by anybody but your own self. So, so I can click off this window. A restaurant wanting a grown and sexy vibe bans diners under 30. I didn't know restaurants were actually banning people of certain ages. And it's not just one, but it's several, because they're claiming they don't want anyone young because, well, they don't want their behavior or disruptions or whatever. And you know what? It has nothing to do with age. I think a lot of you, if you remember my live streams, you can see an awful lot of people in restaurants who are much older than 30 creating chaos and disturbance. And as for that fabulous war against everyone, U.S. lifts 10-year weapon ban on Ukraine's neo-Nazi Azov brigade, which used to be the battalion. Lifting the ban. Why did they have a ban? Because they're Nazis. But now they're lifting it. So it is in your face, Americans. We are Nazis. The question must immediately be asked. Yeah, do Washington policymakers think enough time has passed that people have simply forgotten that this is an unabashed neo-Nazi outfit? Do they think we no longer remember this from just a year ago, which was the New York Times admits journalists are asking Ukrainian soldiers to hide their Nazi patches? But hang that Ukrainian flag and think you're all virtuous. Lifting the ban, and now you can get weapons and training from the good old Nazis in America. And the U.S. wants to create hellscape of drones if China attacks Taiwan. And yes, I did see somebody leave a comment about how is it that so few channels are talking about Russia being in Cuba with their nuclear weapons and submarines, and I've posted on it. The only thing that I can say is we're not in the 60s anymore. It's not a Cuban Missile Crisis anymore. And whether or not it's going to be a false flag, whether or not the Russians are preparing, to fight Americans, which I don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon. But, yeah, all our countries are working together. Russia, United States. When you see the kind of treason that has been going on for, well, now hundreds of years. Hundreds, plural. Only getting worse and worse. Now it's in our face every single day. And Americans don't do anything. Anything can happen. So be prepared for anything. Could we end up in World War III officially with the Russians attacking Florida? Sure, why not? Do I think it's going to happen? No. Could it happen? Yeah. We have an awful lot of psychopathic, crazy, violent puppets as leaders. They follow the orders and they can do anything. Because they know that all of the people could absolutely gang up against them, but they know they won't. So now they don't care what we know and just let it all rip. Yeah. Right off. I mean, how many miles from Cuba to Florida? It's 90? Is it like 90 miles? I don't know. I'm just guessing. But it's a short distance. So, that's big news. What you gonna do? We've got a lot of big news going. Like this. U.S. wants to create hellscape of drones if China attacks Taiwan. Top U.S. military commander says the U.S. plans to send swarms of drones and unmanned submarines into the Taiwan Strait. It's a hellscape of drones in the Taiwan Strait if China moves to attack Taiwan. He said this. Yes. the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command Admiral Samuel Papero. I want to turn the Taiwan Strait into an unmanned hellscape using a number of classified capabilities so that I can make their lives utterly miserable for a month, which buys me the time for the rest of everything. Oh, good. I'm sure China doesn't read the news, so they still don't know. It's classified. With Replicator, controlled by artificial intelligence, the Replicator Initiative, with Replicator, we're beginning with all domain attributable autonomy, or ADA2. Sounds like Star Wars. AD, what was it? That robot? A2D2? Well, this is ADA2 to help us overcome the People's Republic of China's advantage in mass. More ships, more missiles, more forces. And Hicks said at a conference, who's this Hicks? Yeah, Deputy Secretary of Defense Kathleen Hicks outlined a plan. Well, the very good thing is that I'm sure those who are in the People's Republic of China, in the government, in the military, don't read the news. So, keep it quiet, okay? When you read stuff like this, you must know that it's abject bullshit. Because they're letting their enemy know what they're going to do. I think China is a little bit smarter and they'll adjust. Yeah. All right, you guys. You are absolutely 100% the soldier of good. We need the good to put out a mighty force. And that comes with action. It doesn't come with thinking, oh, I'm a good person. No. It comes with your action and how you operate in the world. So I do hope that you're doing that. And be safe out there. You know, I hope you have that awareness hardwired, which for about a year after I was done with the lives, what was I saying? Get it hardwired so that your awareness is with you at all times. Because things are going, well, let's just say not very good. And help those in need. Don't lie to people. Don't gossip. Because it's a lie. Gossip is just a lie. And it comes from a place inside you that you're feeling really shitty about yourself. So you're gossiping about other people to bring yourself up. It never works. You're not bringing yourself up. You're actually bringing yourself further down. Yeah, so do the right thing. Do the right thing. You know, stand accountable for your own behaviors. It's what we got to do in our fight to save humanity. Thank you for showing up. I hope to see you tomorrow night. And on that note, good night and good luck. Ciao, guys.